Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Thursday. Today is January 30th. Tomorrow's the last day of the month. And today is National Croissant Day. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you something. I work on Wall Street. This is the 90s. And they opened a little croissant bakery right next to my office. And I used to come in really early and get a croissant. And I did not know, but all of a sudden, like a month and a half later, my clothes started getting a little tighter, and I just couldn't stop eating these things, okay? And I just started gaining weight. And I remember I was walking down the street one day, and I passed a mirror, a store reflection, and I saw myself, and I was like, who's that guy? And it was me. So that really set me on this whole kick to lose weight. Croissants ballooned me up, I'll tell you that. Anyway, today I want to talk about the new book by Ray Dalio, the billionaire investor, founder of hedge fund titan Bridgewater Associates. He just wrote a book called How Countries Go Broke: Principles for Navigating the Big Debt Cycle, Where We Are Headed, and What We Should Do. And Ray Dalio is one of those people that you want to listen to. He's a man who is deeply thinking about the challenges that we face. And the book he writes, in the interviews, I saw this, he profile piece on Barron's, and he was on CNBC, and he's just out there promoting the book. But not only is Dalio an investor worth $14 billion, he's actually a debt expert. He's traded government debt all around the world. And not only did he trade debt, he recently studied 35 debt crises over the past 100 years and was concerned enough about our fiscal situation to write this book. And in this book, what he does is he outlines the stages of a debt crisis, as well as the red flags that we see, such as government selling more debt than it could actually buy back as investor appetite wanes for it. And that's kind of where we are right now. Another warning sign he talks about is central banks that are forced to print more money because government is bringing in less than it's spending. So it's important. This is important enough for us to talk about. And he and I are reading and looking at the same history, okay? We talk about this in our Midnight in America book, which is utterly important for you to read, because not only do we discuss the warning signs that are happening right now for people who understand these things, but how you can protect yourself, 4 steps you can take. But one of the important things to keep in mind is the bond market, the U.S. bond market sets the terms for all asset classes all around the world. It's like the blood that flows through the arteries. And that's an important metaphor, because he says we are on the verge of having a financial heart attack. And the way he describes it is the U.S. bond market is like the blood that flows through all the arteries. So when you start from a financial heart attack point of view, he says that debt service, the interest we pay for these bonds, becomes like plaque in the arteries. It really starts constricting the flow of blood. And it's really easy to understand that when you think right now that we're paying about $1 trillion a year in interest. So it's crazy. When you look at the U.S. government's line item budget, it's Social Security and Medicare and defense, and then debt, interest on debt. So basically, $1 trillion, can you imagine what we would do with $1 trillion a year if we were actually spending it, investing it in the country? So basically, he says the more debt you issue, the more interest that you pay, the more your arteries get clogged, the more you start to get susceptible to a financial heart attack. And he is right, and we have studied the same kind of thing. And I just leave you with this quote that he has here that I thought was worth sharing. Quote, "Now is the time for policymakers to put up or shut up. Whatever form of grand bargain cuts the deficit by about 3% of GDP is good with me." It should be about 3% of GDP, but there might be a grammar error there. So now is the time for policymakers to put up or shut up. I could not agree with that more, because we might think all these tax cuts, all this spending is terrific. Everybody might be excited about that, but it is like eating a lot of sweets. We're old enough now where if you eat a big piece of chocolate cake at night, you're going to feel a little bit hungover the next day. Right now, we've been eating chocolate cake every single day for the past 8 years. And I'm telling you, the hangover is going to be, the hair of the dog is not going to help with this one. It's funny how that works. When you're young, alcohol can give you a hangover. When you get older, now, if I eat poorly the night before, I can have like a little food hangover. So we've been eating and binging. We're like an alcoholic that's been on a run for 8 years of spending and crazy drinking. And this is just not good for us. So I thought this was important enough to share with you. As I said, Ray Dalio is a man that you want to listen to. He's a serious man, and he cares deeply about our country. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.